It was incredible. A construction worker, Frank Sileccia, was walking through trying to get a firefighter who remains out of the pit, and he walked over a small hill and began to walk down, and he looked up, and he saw this large 20-foot cross standing straight up in this pile of debris, and nobody knows how it happened. It was almost in like a gully, and he came out of building number 1, which is the north tower, towards building 6, and he just looked up, and there it was, as if God had placed it there for him to find, to bring other people to this cross and say, look, there's hope. Okay, I'm here with you. I didn't allow this to happen. I gave man free will, and they've done this, but now I'm here with you. And I got to tell you something. I don't know of a single rescue recovery worker who did not stop by that cross at some point in time in those first few days and say a prayer. And it became a symbol to us, and that is the only piece of steel, the only symbol that still remains at the World Trade Center. Remember how it was when we were all together as a nation. Remember when people were shaking each other's hands, where there were flags on the porches and on the cars, and we felt as one, and we moved forward, and I think that's important.
That was Lieutenant William Keegan. He was a guest of ours some years ago, shortly after the attacks of September 11th, 2001. We invited him on to talk about his book, and I apologize for not remembering the name. I'll look it up in a second. Lieutenant William Keegan was with the New York, New Jersey Port Authority, and as you could tell right there, that portion of the interview that Robin and I did with him was when he was remembering the first time the beams were discovered that formed the shape of a cross, the Christian symbol for, well, the symbol for Christianity, or the symbol for Christian whatever, and that cross has become somewhat of a debatable topic, a controversial issue. But the way he remembers that story, I don't think it had anything to do with nobody was offended by it at that time. At that time, in that pile of rubble that was 12 stories tall, to find among the rubble, standing, as if God planted that himself, a cross, gave a lot of them hope. And we were fortunate enough that we went to see it, you and I, Robin, and it was on the side of the street at that time, down the road a little bit at a church. You remember the name of the church?
I don't recall the church, but it was right there.
And of course, a few years earlier than when you and I saw it with my son Alex, and it was still on the Ground Zero property. And I believe since then they have moved it into the museum. Mm-hmm. I believe so.
I hope so.
I believe so.
People were trying to keep it out of there.
There was a group of people who didn't think it belonged in there, that it was trash, throw it away. But it definitely had a symbolic meaning for the rescuers who were there that day.
Definitely.
All right, let me look up Lieutenant Keegan's book. I can't remember.
And he was the head guy there, too, with the New York, New Jersey Port Authority. So he knew, you know.
All right, let me just look it up. How come I can't remember these things? Okay. His book was called Closure, right?
Yes.
Does that sound right? His book was called Closure. Let me click on it. Oh, I don't see it. Anyway, let's talk about this. So you went to visit the memorial. The museum was not open when you went to visit it with your family not too long ago, 2 years ago?
Yep, it was 2 weeks prior to the opening of the museum itself. We got to peek in the windows, but we couldn't go inside.
After years, as a private commemoration, the anniversary of September 11th at Ground Zero now also has become an occasion for public reflection on the site of the terror attacks. You were one of those people who went there, Robin. Mm-hmm. An estimated 20,000 people flocked to the Memorial Plaza on the evening of September 11th last year. There's a lot of people there right now, from what I understand. They are reading the names of every victim of the attacks of September 11th. Mm-hmm. Last year was the first year the public was able to visit on the anniversary of September 11th. The plaza will open 3 hours earlier today. It's probably already open. I'm sure it is.
Oh, yeah.
On the 14th anniversary. Victims' families will gather for what has become a tradition of tolling bells, observing poignant moments of silence, and reading the names of nearly 3,000 people killed in the terror strikes. The museum president, Joe Daniels, is the president of the National September 11th Memorial and Museum. He said, when we did open it up, it was just like life coming in. While the memorial will still be reserved for victims' relatives and other invitees during the morning ceremony, afterward, the general public that wants to come and pay their respects on this most sacred ground should be let in as soon as possible. One of these days, I'm going to get up and see this.
Yeah.
My son and my daughter-in-law went to see it, and with a couple of their friends. Nearly a decade and a half after hijacked planes hit the World Trade Center's Twin Towers, the Pentagon, and a field near Shanksville, Pennsylvania, the anniversary continues to be marked with observances around the country. The Flight 93 National Memorial near Shanksville in western Pennsylvania is marking the completion of its visitors center, which opened to the public yesterday. At the Pentagon, Secretary of Defense Ash Carter and other officials will join in remembrances for victims, relatives, and Pentagon employees. So the three locations of the three attacks are all holding memorial services today. Here in Ocala, we've got a few places. I'll tell you them in just a second. President Obama is scheduled to observe the anniversary with a visit to Fort Meade, Maryland, in recognition of the military's work to protect the country.
Oh, so that's okay. So he's not going to any of the memorial sites then.
And I'm sure most of you are familiar with the USS New York, the ship that was built out of the metal from the World Trade Center towers. Let's see a little bit of information about that. The USS New York, LPD-21, the 5th San Antonio-class amphibious transport dock, is the 5th ship of the United States Navy to be named after the state of New York. New York has a crew of 360 sailors and can carry up to 700 Marines. It is notable for using a symbolic amount of steel salvaged from the World Trade Center after it was destroyed in the September 11th attacks. The USS New York is the first ship to be designed fully from a CAD screen up to support all of the Marines' primarily mobility capabilities. That's pretty interesting, huh?
It's very interesting.
Shortly after September 11th, 2001, Governor of New York, George Pataki, wrote a letter to Secretary of the Navy, Gordon England, requesting that the Navy bestow the name New York on a surface warship involved in the war on terrorism in honor of the victims of the September 11th attacks. That's how it all got started. The contract to build the New York, the USS New York, was awarded to Northrop Grumman Ship Systems of New Orleans, Louisiana, in 2003. The ship, New York, was under construction in New Orleans at the time of Hurricane Katrina in 2005.
Wow. Isn't that something?
7.5 short tons, which is the equivalent of 6.8 tons. Don't ask me. I don't know. I'm just reading. Of steel used in the ship's construction came from the rubble of the World Trade Center. This represents less than 1/1,000th of the total weight of the ship.
Wow.
1/1,000th.
Wow.
The steel was melted down at the Amite Foundry and Machine in Amite, Louisiana, to cast the ship's bow section. It was poured into the molds on September 9th, 2003, with 7 short tons, which is the equivalent of 6.4 tons. Somebody has to explain that to me.
Yeah, I don't know.
Cast to form the ship's stem bar, part of the ship's bow. The shipyard workers reportedly treated it with reverence, usually accorded to religious relics. Gently touching it as they walked by. One worker delayed his retirement after 40 years of working to be part of this project.
Oh, sure. It's huge.
Isn't that amazing?
Huge. Have to remember. Cannot.
On September 9th, 2004, Deputy Defense Secretary Gordon R. England announced that 2 of New York's sister ships will be named Arlington and Somerset in commemoration of the places where 2 of the other planes used in the attack came from.
Gosh.
The christening of the USS New York was on March 1st, 2008, in a ceremony at Avondale Shipyard in New Orleans. We'll continue remembering September 11th on the other side of this break.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. It'll be hot and humid today. Sunshine mixed with clouds. It'll lead to a thunderstorm in the afternoon. High 90 to 93. Tonight, some clearing. Shower thunderstorm near the coast this evening. Low 71 to 75. Tomorrow again, sunshine mixed with clouds. Couple showers and thunderstorms. High of 82 to 88. An afternoon thunderstorm for Sunday with a high of 81 to 87. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Maggie Johnson.
If you're anything like I was, the thought of getting older was the last thing on your mind. But here we are. For me, it started slowly. The lack of energy, never being in the mood. And when I was, I could never perform at my best. I tried the pills and other treatments with minimal results, and all but given up on my sex life. Then I found the doctors at New Male Medical Center. Wow, they made a new male out of me. Feel like I'm 25 again. I have renewed vigor, so much more energy, and no longer worry about my performance. New Male treated me like my situation was one of a kind, with a custom treatment plan that really works. I feel great. They can create one for you too. It does not matter if you suffer from low testosterone, erectile dysfunction, or just want to last longer. New Male will help you.
Call New Male Medical Center today at 352-404-4779. 352-404-4779. That's 352-404-4779. It will change your life. 352-404-4779.
One of the most common questions those nearing retirement are asking: will I outlive my money? Retirement questions like these and many more will be answered every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. on Planning for a Better and Safer Retirement with hosts Francois and Julian Pozenet. Francois and Julian will help you put your retirement puzzle together. Catch Planning for a Better and Safer Retirement Saturdays at 9 a.m. on Ocala's News Talk, The Source 96.3 FM and 1370 AM.
Good credits, bad credits. It's none of our business because we're not an auto dealer. We're not a bank. We're not your mother. We're OcalaForSale.com. Marion County's marketplace for cars, trucks, and SUVs. We've got thousands of sellers standing by to take your call. No middleman. But hurry, don't walk, don't run. Just sit down and log on to OcalaForSale.com. Prices and inventory change daily. Offer does not include dealer upcharge. Undercutting, rust-proofing, factory surcharge, or delivery fee. See website for details.
Do you have areas that have started sagging or drooping? Is what you're looking at not quite the same as it was years ago? Are there enhancements you've been putting off? Is there serious damage you need fixed? Then call on us, Damage Control Services, when your roof is sagging and the drywall is drooping after a storm, or your home just needs some enhancements. From damage repairs to new construction, Damage Control Services is here to help.
Our war on terror begins with Al-Qaeda, but it does not end there. It will not end until every terrorist group of global reach has been found, stopped, and defeated.
All right, 12 minutes before 10 o'clock, that was a recording, of course, from President Bush at the time, talking about the attacks on September 11th, 2001, which is what we're remembering today. Flags are at half staff today because of that remembrance, and there are a few events in town. The one that I wanted to mention is that there's a free community event at Highlands Memorial Park. It's at 1515 3rd Street here in Ocala, honoring and remembering 9/11. It's a program that's happening this evening from 6 till 8 p.m., It's a memorial display consisting of 2,996 American flags representing every victim, emergency responder, and military member who lost their life on September 11th, 2001. There will be a live bald eagle on the site that is there by the from the folks at the Avian Center. There is artwork by local students. There will be an historic video tribute. There will be a community candlelight remembrance, and all guests will get a free 911 Memorial lapel pin. It's a free community event. Hires Baxley is putting this on at the Highland Memorial Park, 1515 Northeast 3rd Street. Again, the time this evening from 6 till 8 p.m. Probably have one of the biggest turnouts. They've done this every year.
Yes.
But I'm guessing because it's a Friday, it might just very well be the biggest turnout they've ever had. So thank you, everybody. And may I mention, I've mentioned this a few times, but if you've never heard this is a cool little piece of trivia about Ocala. When the attacks on 911 happened, our first responders here all were raising their hand, offering to go and help out in New York. And of course, everybody couldn't go. Some of them did. The firefighters from the county, I know the city firefighters also were going as well. But the reason I mentioned the city. The city is what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Okay, the city and the county. They were all in on this, but the city was at the time under the direction of Brian Studoff.
Yes, Brian Studoff.
Or maybe not at that time, or I don't remember anymore. But anyway, Brian, who has since retired,
Yes.
I think he was in charge at that time.
He was in charge.
But anyway, he filled out the paperwork requesting a piece of one of the steel beams from the World Trade Center wrecking with the site, the disaster. So we have one here in Ocala. There's a piece of one of the beams. It's at the firehouse across the street from Tuscaloosa Park. It's on display behind a plexiglass cube. And it's right there in the front door, at least it was when we went. You walk in there, you say, hey, I heard Robin and Larry talking about this. Can I see it? And there it is. It's right there. And it is kind of a thing to say, wow, this used to be part of those huge buildings. This was in the rubble that was left. This is part of that whole scene. And our guys right here and ladies were willing to, and in some cases did, actually go up there and help out.
Yeah.
In the state of Ohio, the State House in Ohio will be displaying nearly 3,000 flags representing the lives lost in an arrangement designed to represent the World Trade Center towers, with a pentagon-shaped space and an open strip representing the field near Shanksville. In Sacramento, California, they will commemorate the 9/11 attacks in conjunction with a parade honoring 3 Sacramento area friends who tackled a heavily armed gunman on a Paris-bound high-speed train last month. You remember that story?
Yeah, that was amazing. Just thank you so much.
In Washington, some members of Congress plan to spend part of the anniversary discussing federal funding for the Ground Zero Memorial. The House Natural Resources Committee has scheduled a hearing for today on a proposal to provide up to $25 million a year for the plaza. The memorial and the Underground Museum together cost $60 million per year to run. The federal, do you know how much it costs to go? Oh, I have that information.
Yeah, I don't know because it was free when we went.
The Memorial and Underground Museum together, the federal government contributed heavily to building the institution. Leaders have tried unsuccessfully for years to get Washington to chip in for the annual costs as well.
Yeah, because it was all donations. When we went, they had a box, and you could donate any amount you wanted to because it was free.
Under the current proposal, any federal money would go only toward the Memorial Plaza. An estimated 21 million people have visited it for free since the 2011 opening. The museum charges up to $24 per ticket, a price that initially sparked some controversy. Still, almost 3.6 million visitors have come since the museum's May 2014 opening.
That's affordable.
Topping projections by about 5%. Any federal funding could lead to expanded discounts for high school, any school, and other groups, but there are no plans to lower the regular ticket price.
No, as it should be, because that money goes strictly to the upkeep, and it's wonderful.
This year's anniversary also comes as advocates for 911 responders and survivors are pushing Congress to extend 2 federal programs that promised billions of dollars in compensation and medical care. Both programs are set to expire next year.
Yeah, because the first responders, everybody that helped, they're losing their lives because of what they had to inhale while they were helping.
Let's see. Some of those close to the events aim to keep policy and politics at arm's length. Today, organizers of the Ground Zero ceremony decided in 2012 to stop letting elected officials read names, though politicians can still attend. Over the years, some victims' relatives have invoked political matters while reading names, such as declaring that September 11th should be a national holiday, but others have sought to keep the focus personal. This day should be a day for reflection and remembrance only, is the opinion of Faith Thierry, who lost her brother, Sal Thierry Jr., during last year's commemoration. If you would like to see it right now, if you would like to see the reflecting pools this minute, Google has done something pretty cool. If you're already familiar with Google Street View, Google Street View, for those who don't know, is where there's a car that drives down the streets and gets a 360-degree, a full view all around and up ahead and down and everywhere. Mm-hmm. And you can go to any place the Street View guy has gone, and it's pretty much every city in America. Ocala's got a whole... Ocala's completely plotted out just about, except for private properties. But there are also some handheld Street View scenes, including at the 911 memorial at the reflecting pools.
Oh my gosh! Wow, I didn't.
Did you not know this? So if you go to Google, Google Earth, I guess it's called, or Google Maps, whatever they call this, and you click that little gold man, that little yellow man, and you drag them zoom into the World Trade Center area in Lower Manhattan, bring it right to the reflecting pool. You will be virtually standing right there. You will be close enough to zoom in and read every single name.
Wow.
You'll be able to read every single name. Wow. If you have a chance to go attend any of these events, we recommend that you do. And thank you for allowing us to indulge in the memory of September 11th, 2001. Kelly Hart is next. We'll end with this special presentation. We'll be right back. From something so bad.
The plane just crashed into the World Trade Center.
If there's ever a reason to smile in times like these, so sad.
Hour 2 has a major explosion and what appears to be a complete collapse.
That I get to know you. It's that I get to hold you. It's that I get to cry.
Like the plane was aiming towards the building.
If there's anything blessed from something so cursed,
I can hear you, please send somebody.
if there's ever a reason to hope when it seems things couldn't be worse,
The other tower just collapsed. We need to collapse.
it's how I get to show you my longing to be close to you. It's that I get to stand
itself was attacked this morning by a faceless coward.
So fragile, we're all so human, we're all such children, often guessing what we're doing. But if there's anything I can say for sure, it's times like these I've never loved you more.
Everything you got, the World Trade Center now.
Is anything right? Something so wrong. If there's ever a reason to sing when it just doesn't feel like a song.
We have met the worst of humanity with the best of humanity.
That I get to be with you. It's that I get to breathe with you. It's that I get to look in your eyes and know you're there.
I can hear you. The rest of the world hears you. And the people who knock these buildings down will hear all of us soon.
I can say for sure, it's times like these I've never loved you more.
We're not going to be stopped. We're not going to be deterred. We're not going to stay at home. We're not going to be frightened. We're going to live our lives as Americans.
Children often guessing what we're doing. Anything I can say for sure, it's times like these I've never loved you more.
Under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
Fox News Radio, I'm